spread. The range, which just looked at the distance between the smallest and largest data points, it's not a recommended measure of spread, even though it's simple to use. It only uses 2 data points, leaves out a lot of other information, and it's definitely not resistant to outliers. The standard deviation gave us an idea of the average distance of points to the mean, which is very informative, but this was also not resistant to outliers. The third measure of spread we're going to look at is called the interquartile range, or we'll use the abbreviation IQR for this. And it measures the distance between the third and first quartile. By third and first quartile, we mean we first need to divide the data up into quarters. So if you want to think of, here's our data set, we're going to break it into different chunks. We've got our first quarter, or Q1, or 25% of the data. We've got our second quarter, which is the same thing as the median because it has 50% below it, 2 quarters, and 50% above it. So that's our definition of median. And then the third quartile breaks it into another 25%, so 75 below, 35 above. So this is what we mean by quartiles, breaking the data up into 4 pieces or quarters. And then the interquartile range looks at this section. Instead of the range of the entire data set, we're looking at the spread of this middle 50%. So between Q1 and Q3, this middle 50%, that range or spread in the data, instead of the overall range of all 100% of the data. So let's check this out with 2 different data sets. These don't really have any context. Here's our first data set. And if you did a quick count, you would find that there's 13 observations in this data set. So to find the interquartile range, I first find it easiest to find the median or the middle point, and then we'll divide each half in half again. So checking out this data set, since there are 13 observations, an odd number, 1 is in fact our middle data point. So 17.6, I have it in order for you, is our median. We've got 6 data points below it and 6 data points above it. Splits my data set half and half. If we look at the lower half of the data to find Q1, we just need to find the median again, just to this lower half. So there's 6 points, an even number, so my Q1, or median of the bottom half of the data, is going to be the average of these guys. So Q1 is going to be 16.3 plus 17.2 divided by 2. And when you do that, you should get a value of 16.75. So there's the median of my lower half of the data, or my first quartile, Q1. Let's repeat and find the median of the upper half of the data, or Q3. So again, 6 observations. The middle is between these 2. We need to find the average. So Q3 is our 20.2 plus 21.2, and we'll divide that by 2 and get Q3 of 20.7. So again, this breaks my data into 25% chunks, and the IQR, what we're looking for here, this measure of spread, instead of being the range of the entire data set from largest to smallest, we're bringing it in and looking at the range or the spread of this middle 50% here, Q3 minus Q1. And when you take that difference, the 20.7, that's our Q3, minus the 16.75, you're going to get an interquartile range of 3.95. So that gives me an idea of the spread, or the distance covered by the middle 50% of the data. What I'd like you guys to do before the next video, try dataset 2 on your own. It's identical to dataset 1, except now instead of 13 data points, we have 14 data points. I've added one extreme value here at the end, 100, so we can see how that kind of changes or doesn't change this measure of spread. So try that and then have your calculators handy, because I will also show you how to find this on your calculator.